from the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Coming up on Ag Day, the administration marks a trade win, leaving ag untouched, but trade remains a top concern.
China is threatening retaliatory tariffs on U.S. pork products. How much of an impact could this have on the industry? A report from a Michigan hog barn.
An agribusiness looking for opportunity.
As a farmer, you're an inventory manager, and you're managing your inventory that you produce. So you wear two hats, production, and then you have the business hat of managing the inventory.
Beef production expected to rise in 2018, and your Easter egg hunt is likely to be more expensive this weekend.
Ag Day, brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Good morning, I'm Clinton Griffiths. The administration checking off a win in the trade column as it closes negotiations with South Korea. The U.S. Trade Representative's office tweeting that it's revealing a completed revised trade agreement with South Korea. The deal has the country agreeing to reduce its steel exports by 30% and doubling its import quota for U.S. cars. That exempts South Korea from America's steel tariffs put on by the Trump administration. Now, on the ag side, the agreement doesn't change much. The Chorus Trade Pact has been very beneficial to agriculture over the past few years. U.S. beef exports to South Korea topping $1 billion in 2017, almost double what they had been 5 years earlier. It's gains like that giving farmers and ranchers heartburn as the administration takes a hard line on trade.
We're pretty concerned because, we're such tremendous producers in the United States. The American farmer and rancher has done such an unbelievable job in producing food for not only us but for the world that we really count on exports. And the beef industry particularly counts on exports on the really high quality product. And so without exports, it certainly will adversely affect prices. So we're concerned.
Some futures markets have been in what he calls a free fall the past couple of weeks, prices feeling the pressure from concerns about trade. While the industry watches Chorus and NAFTA negotiations for clues to the future, it's also keeping a close tab on China. The Trump administration taking China to task on multiple trade fronts, and agriculture is already caught in the middle. Betsy Gibbon reports.
Another morning, another routine for Michigan producer Brian McKenzie. The custom feeder is used to these daily isolated walks in the hog barn.
I've been farming since 1990, since I graduated from Michigan State.
But soon enough, he won't be alone.
We're very concerned about the expansion that's going on right now, where we might overproduce and prices may drop.
More slaughter capacity is enticing growth around the U.S.
In the last 6 weeks, we've seen pork production increase on a weekly basis by 4.5% to 5%. So much larger supplies of pork coming to the market and larger than we really had anticipated at around 3%.
In addition to expansion and prices, the hog industry has one more thing on its mind that's out of its control, and that's potential for retaliatory tariffs from China.
We can't have a $375 billion trade deficit and not do anything to defend ourselves.
The Chinese announcing retaliatory tariffs on up to $3 billion worth of U.S. goods. The country planning 2 waves. The first attacking products like wine, nuts, and fruit. U.S. pork is expected to be part of a second wave.
That will come, I think, at least a month, if not longer, from now. So we have an ability to have both sides talk to see if an amenable solution can be found to avoid something I don't think anybody wants.
Meanwhile, the Wall Street Journal reporting U.S. Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin and U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer are already in talks with their Chinese counterparts.
What China is at least signaling is that they're more than willing to talk.
Last year, the U.S. pork industry exported $1.1 billion of product to China, making that country the number 2 value market for U.S. pork.
Loss of 2% of our market for our production in the United States would certainly be a blow to profitability this year, where we had been thinking we would see a touch of profitability, break even to maybe a little profitability. That now shifts into the loss category.
Hurt says while 2% does not seem like a large number, a 25% Chinese tariff would make U.S. pork uncompetitive compared to other countries.
if we lost all of that business. Again, I think this is one of the things that we'd have to look at if we had that size of tariff in terms of pork. Then we would lose about 2% of our production that we would not have a ready market for. What does that mean? We think that means probably around $2.50 per hundredweight, or maybe something around $7 per hog lower price.
As challenges arise in the industry, Mackenzie continues his day-to-day.
What I want to see happen is Trump to back down and for countries to come together for free trade agreements with the United States, like they were a lot planned before Trump started his protectionist attitude.
Reporting for AgDay, I'm Betsy Gibbon.
All right, thanks, Betsy. A new study by a professor at Kansas State University is examining the risk of African swine fever virus to be spread through animal feed and imported feed ingredients. Researchers hope to discover strategies that best mitigate the potential harms to pork producers should an outbreak occur of this highly contagious and costly animal disease in the U.S. The disease causes hemorrhaging and deadly fevers in pigs. If there's an outbreak, the U.S. pork industry could lose billions of dollars in culled herds and lost global trade. Now, the study looks at the ability of the virus to be introduced and spread through swine feed and feed ingredients.
There are millions of pounds of feed ingredients that are imported into the United States every year. And as those feed ingredients are imported from other countries with potentially other diseases, there's a risk that a virus could be introduced through one of these feed ingredients that's imported.
The project will investigate the ability of ASFV to survive shipment processes into the U.S. from other countries. They also want to find out the amount of the virus needed within feed to cause an infection, and they do want to develop a feed mitigant or ingredient that could control the spread of the virus. We've seen drought conditions throughout the Central Plains just about all winter. Well, Florida isn't as dry, but they are having a lot of wildfires. Let's turn to Mike Hoffman now for details and crop comments. Mike?
Good morning, Clinton. According to the Florida Department of Ag, there are currently 52 active wildfires in Florida, burning nearly 28,000 acres. Florida Ag Commissioner Adam Putnam was touring some of those sites yesterday, including this one in Collier County. That fire, the Greenway Fire, encompasses about 17,000 acres. It's about 50% contained. The new drought monitor comes out today, but as of last week, half the state was considered drought-free. Another 35% is called abnormally dry. Now, taking a look at the wind speed forecast, you can see it's going to become a little bit windy in the Tennessee and Ohio valleys, mid-Atlantic into parts of the southeast and pockets farther west. Heading into the day tomorrow, we don't start off with a whole lot of wind, as you can see, a little bit in the mid-Atlantic, but we do increase in pockets like Montana, Wyoming, down along the eastern portions of the Rockies. We'll have your forecast coming up in a few minutes. First, here are some hometown temps.
Save time each day and receive the latest market prices directly to your cell phone with market updates. It makes it effortless to stay aware of shifting market prices. Just text Markets 8 to 31313 to get started.
You may have to be more creative to find opportunities in 2018. We'll talk about that coming up at the Agribusiness Desk. And later, your Easter picnic may cost more this year. We'll tell you how much and why today on In the Country.
With a uniquely powerful formulation of proven ingredients, Resicor corn herbicide gives you extraordinary power.
Who wants dessert?
At least when it comes to weeds.
In agribusiness, a mixed day for commodity markets. Let's get the ins and outs from our friends on the floor.
In soybeans, the market was really drifting all day. It seems that China has paid a premium for the Brazil beans, and it didn't do well for our soybeans here. It looks like that they're going to start importing from more of Brazil. That's why corn was mixed as well. It seems that the dry weather that continues in Argentina is still holding the market up. in spite of the fact that the U.S. dollar index has been really strong today, so we would have thought that that might have sent the markets a little bit lower. Now, wheat was easier today, started to rally back just as we were getting close to the end here. The rain in the southern plains provided a little bit of crop relief, and so that really kept the market moving lower. It seems that the Kansas City wheat is in a solid downtrend, and the market just keeps moving lower in spite of the fact that we've had dryness in the southern plains really all winter. Cattle rebounded. Seems though those bargain hunters stepped in and really got the market moving. We had a rebound, a good rebound from a sharper weekly drop, and it's like heading into this long weekend, the market really starts to look good. That's all from the floor at the CME Group. Here in Chicago, I'm Virginia McGathy.
Joining me at the Agribusiness Desk today, I'm Brian Doherty, Stuart Peterson. Brian, 2018, well, every year is interesting, but 2018, obviously, last couple of months have been really interesting. And I think as an industry, we spend a lot of time trying to decide what does the business plan look like? How are we shaping up financially? Where is there opportunity? And is that, what do you think?
Yeah. Good question. You know, as the reliability on crop production increases, which we've got evidence it does every year, there's still volatility and potential for adverse weather. But sometimes we might take the angle of looking for opportunity that most aren't looking for. That is, as a farmer, you're an inventory manager, and you're managing your inventory that you produce. So you wear two hats, production, and then you have the business hat of managing the inventory. I talked to a lot of farmers out on the road, and a lot of them kind of grumble that, boy, there just isn't much opportunity. Well, maybe we got to look for that.
Okay,
maybe it comes
explain yourself. What do you
mean?
mean?
Maybe it comes in the form of looking out 6 months and saying, you know what, I can sell an out-of-the-money call option that's 40 cents out of the money and sell it for 12 cents. And the only way that comes back to haunt me and it makes that position a losing position in my commodity account is the price has to go higher of the underlying futures, which means your unpriced inventory can gain value. So I make it sound simple. There's risk and cost to everything.
Absolutely.
But we know this too. There's a risk and cost to doing nothing, and we see that. You know, talk to any producer from October, November, December, January, February, holding corn that long without being priced. Wouldn't have been great to have some sort of wasting asset, that is a short call option, gaining value in your favor to help pay for that storage, or the market has to go higher, and as long as you're willing to accept a hedge higher. So that's just an idea or an example.
Right.
Not for everybody.
Sure.
But I'm sure there's a number of producers who are taking more of a business-minded, cash flow-minded approach and thinking maybe those are things I should be looking at.
Looking at some of these block and tackle kind of pieces that you can put together to create opportunity.
I call it scratch and claw.
Okay.
How can you scratch and claw for the next 15 or 20 or 25 cents? Where's that opportunity? What risk is entailed? Does it fit my tolerances, and is it good for my operation? You bet. Lots of questions. You can answer them all.
All right. Thanks, Brian. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Back with more AgDay. Just a minute.
To discuss marketing strategies, call 800-334-9779 or visit stuartpeterson.com. You could win a 2018 John Deere Gator from Valent USA. Visit valentfullyloaded.com to enter.
Welcome back to AgDay. Your meteorologist Mike Hoffman looking at the weather map. And Mike, it's really the southern half of the eastern half that's dealing with most of the rain right now.
Yeah, and a pretty wet storm system moving from west to east through the southern Mississippi Valley right now. We also have two cold fronts farther north, one in the northern plains, one getting ready to come southward into Montana. Those don't have nearly as much moisture with them, though. So let's put the maps into motion heading through the day. You can see lots of rain from the central Mississippi Valley into the eastern Great Lakes as we move through the day. Showers and thunderstorms along this slow-moving cold front. It'll be into eastern Tennessee, northwestern Georgia, down toward New Orleans by later in the day today. Then heading through the nighttime hours tonight, area of low pressure moving through New England. The northern fringe of that's going to be some decent snow. Still showers and thunderstorms, mid-Atlantic down to the Florida Panhandle. Stalled out front across the north, actually going to create a decent snow here as we head through the day tomorrow and Good Friday. We are looking at North and South Dakota, parts of Montana, getting some heavy snow in places. Precipitation estimate past 24 hours, we've already seen a lot. Eastern Texas, all the way into eastern Kentucky. Adding in the next 36 hours, we're going to add a strip of 1 inch plus from southeastern Missouri all the way to Cleveland, Ohio, and then we're going to continue to add some with that cold front depending on where the heavier thunderstorms hit over the next 36 hours. Snowfall mostly has been confined to the higher elevations from Colorado northward, but we are going to add some over the next 36 hours, as I talked about, into the Dakotas, much of Montana, and extreme northern portions of Maine. Lots of snow, though, across many sections of southern Canada. Temperatures this afternoon, pretty warm in the southeast, Texas. Farther north, a little bit chillier than normal for this time of the year. Lots of 40s through the Corn Belt. Low temperatures tonight into the teens up along the Canadian border. Still 60s, though, by the time you get to the Gulf Coast. And highs tomorrow afternoon, not quite as warm in the southern areas. And you can see highs only in the 20s across the far northern plains. 40s and 50s through most of the Corn Belt areas. Jet stream, you can see this trough moving into the western plains. We're going to have this cutoff up over Hudson Bay, so little pieces of energy. It looks like we're heading into a different pattern here. We'll be moving through the northern tier of states. There will be some moisture farther south as well, but a lot more heat farther south starts to move in with this the setup the way we're looking at later next week. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. Heading to Prescott, Arizona, a good deal of sunshine today, high temperature of 70 degrees. Houghton Lake, Michigan, mostly cloudy, chilly, high about 46. And finally, Lake City, Florida, a mixture of sunshine and clouds, and on the warm side, high of 83.
Will you be throwing more beef on the grill this Easter weekend? We'll tell you about the latest production expectations coming up in our Drovers TV report. And dyeing Easter eggs is likely to cost you more money this season. We'll tell you why coming up on In the Country.
AgDay, brought to you by new Delaro fungicide for corn and soybeans. Achieve personal best yields. While you are focused on raising the world's most nutritious beef, your checkoff is opening doors and telling consumers why beef is always a great choice. Visit mybeefcheckoff.com to learn how else your checkoff is opening doors.
On Drovers TV, the latest Sterling Beef Profit Tracker is showing margins for both feeders and packers are slipping a bit. Cattle feeders seeing a $13 per head decline in profit margins. However, the final tally is still sticking in the green, with feeders ending the week at plus $127 per head. Cash prices for fed cattle are $5 per hundred lower than they were the same week a year ago. Meanwhile, beef production is expected to increase this year. Recent data suggesting supplies may become burdensome to the market soon. USDA says beef production during January and February was up more than 5% compared to last year, and last year production was the largest for those 2 months in 10 years. The latest Cattle on Feed report shows a 9% increase, the largest year-over-year increase in a dozen years, and analysts believe drought on the high plains is pushing cattle off wheat pasture and into those feed yards early, resulting in nearly 1 million more cattle on feed than a year ago.
Those large on-feed numbers have already pushed cattle futures lower, and cash prices are coming under heavy pressure. Adding to supplies, carcass weights through the first 10 weeks of this year are 2.3 pounds higher than last year and 15 pounds higher than the 5-year average.
Henderson says despite the caution flags, feed yards and packers continue to enjoy good profits this year. And spotty rains, as we mentioned over the past few days, haven't ended more than 150 days of drought in the Texas Panhandle. Wheat production has been severely impacted, and cattle are searching other pastures early. Some farmers in the area are now calling for disaster assistance, as nearly all of the Texas Panhandle is now in D3 or extreme drought. Up next, if the weather holds, you may be preparing for a big Easter meal, but that bill is going to be a little more expensive. We'll tell you why coming up.
In the Country, sponsored by Kubota. Tractors, hay tools, utility vehicles, mowers, and more. Visit KubotaUSA.com today.
If you're hosting an Easter egg hunt this weekend, chances are you'll be paying more for those eggs, and some of the Easter dinner expenses will be higher as well. The annual Spring Picnic Market Basket Survey by Farm Bureau shows the total cost of 16 food items that can be used to prepare one or more meals was $51.05. That's up about $1 or 2% compared to a year ago. Now, Now, AFBF attributing the increase to higher retail prices for several foods, including eggs, orange juice, meat products, bagged salad, shredded cheddar, and vegetable oil. AFBF says eggs own the highest price increase, 37% higher than a year ago. That's because U.S. egg exports rose nearly 50% in 2017, while egg production remained flat. Meanwhile, the price of orange juice also higher due to the devastating hurricane in Florida. And that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in, spent part of your day with us. For Mike Hoffman and all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.